Good evening and welcome to the first of three meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene our Board of Sanitation meeting for Monday, October the 1st, 2018. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Dave Harrison.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Stewart.
Thank you, Board. In your packet is a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, September 17th, 2018. Floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. This evening, Board, we have 3 pages of wastewater claims in the amount of $115,236.72. The floor is open for any questions or comments.
I have one question, please. On page 1, almost to the bottom, PLC tree service for $9,900.
Is Brad here?
It's for stormwater.
Yeah, they did a bank clearing of the creek over at Yazoo and Andrea.
Thank you, Brad. That's the only question I have.
Dave, any questions or comments?
No, sir.
No further questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the wastewater claims dated October 1st, 2018 in the amount of $115,236.72.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. We have no unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting, and we have no new business tonight for the board. Comments from board members?
I have none.
I have none.
No comments. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:02 PM, and as soon as we reset, we'll go right into the Board of Public Works meeting. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the second of 3 meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time, we will convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting for Monday, October the 1st, 2018. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Dave Harrison.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Stewart.
Thank you, Board. You have been presented a printed copy of the meeting, minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, September the 17th, 2018. Floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none.
I have none, thank you.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. This evening, Board, we have 28 pages of corporate claims in the amount of $1,010,211.65. Floor is open for questions or comments.
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
No questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the corporate claims dated October 1st, 2018 in the amount of $1,010,211.65.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. Under unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting, we have 2 items. One is the awarding of the bid for the SCBA for the fire department and for the SCBA air filling station. Chief, if you could walk us through this, please.
Mayor and Board, I come before you today recommend to accept the specification bid received from Hoosier Fire Equipment for self-contained breathing apparatus. This bid meets our printed specifications. The bid specification cost will be $263,188.00. This is a decrease from the original bid that was submitted by $3,500. We opted to go to the 30-minute pack instead of the 45-minute pack. I have Chief Pierce here to kind of explain the air pack itself, to go through it. I'm going to pass out a couple brochures to the board so you can take a look and take a view of the air pack while Jim speaks to you. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. These packs are to replace our current air packs that have been in service now for well over 10 years. They've reached their maximum usefulness, and we're also getting to the point where the maintenance cost is overdoing their usefulness, so it's time to replace. These packs are the most up-to-date model that we can get at the current time, but we also have part of our spec is a written agreement with the manufacturer to have updates to the packs free of charge when the current standards come out sometime this year. We've been kind of waiting for those current standards to come out, and they keep getting pushed back. So we finally talked with them, got a signed agreement that when those standards come out, they'll upgrade these packs to that current standard. So we'll have the most current pack available, no matter when they come out with their 2018 standards. As you can see, they're very streamlined, they're lightweight, much lighter than our current packs, which will benefit the firefighters greatly. A lot less fatigue having this thing on your back. They're ergonomically designed. They're designed to be a lot more movement friendly so that we're not having a straight board stuck to our backs. It'll actually kind of move with us. They're higher pressure bottles that will allow us to carry more air, but still be lightweight, and we can do the smaller bottles. They also come with thermal imaging technology built into the masks for the firefighters, which is a huge deal. Mayor Buckley can probably tell you the first thermal imaging cameras we bought 15, 18 years ago were somewhere in the $7,500 a piece range, and we're able to put this technology on these masks for a couple $100, so that's kind of a big deal. They also have Bluetooth technology that will allow them to Bluetooth into our radios that we carry. The new radios that we just purchased that I talked to this board about a few months ago, they'll Bluetooth together, so there'll be no more talking through the mask. There's actually a microphone inside the mask that will make communications a lot clearer. So a lot of nice, helpful features for us, and they'll definitely be put to good use. So if you have any questions as you're looking through the brochure, I'll be happy to try to answer those for you.
What is their life expectancy? I mean, how long do they last you? Or does it depend on?
It's
the wear and
recommended
tear?
about 10 years is the life expectancy of any of this type of equipment. Anything that we use in the immediate life threat atmosphere, their federal standards are about 10 years.
Steve, any questions?
No, how long does the,
Bid back at there.
I guess the charge last in these things, or refilled before you have to refill it?
Are you talking about the air?
Yeah.
Well, they're rated at 30 minutes, but somebody working's probably 15, 20.
Where do you refill them at?
At the station. We have a.
That's what we're
Yeah,
getting ready
we're
to
gonna talk about
decide
that here in a
next.
minute.
Oh, okay. This little thing on this guy, this green thing, what is that?
That's the radio.
Radio.
The radios we bought earlier this year, that's the lapel microphone.
So is it hooked up to the mask somehow through the Bluetooth?
Yeah, it Bluetooths through the mask.
Okay,
Yeah, sorry, because I couldn't see what you're pointing out.
that's all
You
right.
can see these in the back, Dave. You guys have the radio mic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
So how do you Bluetooth them in?
Well, the radios are like any other tech, like your computer. It's a simple connection point, so they will all automatically, our mask will connect to the radio. It's just something you do at the start of your shift, and then it automatically connects to that radio.
Gotcha.
It's called pairing, is what they call it.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the request from the chief with Hoosier Fire Equipment for the purchase of self-contained breathing apparatus.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Also, Board, I'll ask for a motion to allow the clerk to enter into any type of agreement to purchase this equipment.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. And the last thing, and I'll have to defer to the attorney, but I'll go ahead and ask for a motion from the board to allow the fire chief to piggyback the bid to other willing fire departments.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
And will you explain that, Chief? You have that anyway, right?
Yes, we have that through part of our Marion County Mutual Aid Agreement where other departments can piggyback into other specifications. I'd like to thank this board for the Air Pack bid specification approval. It's really the top-line technology that we can have in the fire service. It really shows how progressive your department is and how this board is to have this approved. After our last meeting on Tuesday morning, I received a call from the airport fire chief, and that's the first thing he asked me is, one, did you get your bid approved? And second, is there a tag-on clause? I said, well, it's just the opening of the bids, and we'll make sure that we have that in there also. So we have other departments already calling and seeing if they can tag on to our bid. So thank you.
All right, Chief, we'll move to the air compressor breathing system.
Dear Board, I come before you today recommending to accept the specification bid received from Pro Air Midwest for the breathing air compressor system. This bid meets our printed specifications. The bid spec cost will be $52,000. And our current air compressor system, actually, we were trying to think about what year the mayor purchased that has fire chief. It was the Mako system. It was probably right before the last Interspiros were purchased. I would say it's 18 years ago.
I don't know.
It's pretty old. The reason we went with Pro Air is because they're most responsive to our bid specification that was printed. Second, we've been with Pro Air for over 20-odd years, and they do our maintenance, our air testing, sampling, and our annual maintenance contract. So they're a very reputable company, and they've served the city of Beech Grove well. And I have Chief Pierce here to follow up any other questions.
Any questions over what the chief just went over? Just to explain, this is, to answer your question, how we fill our bottles.
Okay.
It's a system that has a cascade bottle, or a setup of bottles that are run off a cascade system to fill the bottles, or to fill our individual bottles. It's a explosion-proof cabinet. We set them in, we hook them up, open a few valves, we fill the bottles up, put them back in service. Then the large bottles that we fill off of there's a compressor that refills those. So it's a constantly, we can fill all of our bottles as much as we want to. We also, in the past, have done scuba bottles. Some police departments have come in wanting to fill scuba bottles, so we can do that as well. So it's a large cascade air generating system. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought up here. But anyway, that's how we fill our bottles. It's on station. And like I said, our current station is pretty old and ancient, and we've had it rebuilt a couple of times, and it's kind of getting past its usefulness. So it's time to upgrade. Plus, these new packs are higher pressure than what we've used in the past, so we need to kind of upgrade our system to meet that demand. Oh, yeah, and we're also increasing the size of how many bottles we can fill at one time. Right now, we can only fill 2. This new system will allow us to fill 4, which is an entire engine company at one time. So get our bottles back in service quicker.
Any other questions or comments?
I do. So are these items currently budgeted for?
Yes, we currently have a lease purchased in our 2018 budget. It was also in our 2017 budget. We didn't purchase because of the NFPA regulations for 2018 that were coming out. We put it off for a year to try to let the manufacturers catch up to the current recommendations. So last year with that money, we purchased our handheld portables, which we're required to purchase anyhow. So we kind of got the city ahead of the game by getting those portables purchased and paid for in 17.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chief. No further questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the request from the chief concerning Pro Air Midwest for the breathing air compressor system.
I'll make said motion.
And I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. And as with the SCBA, I'll ask for a motion that allows the clerk treasurer to purchase and make any arrangements possible for this purchase.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor and board, thank you for providing the best safety equipment you can for your fire department.
Next order, or that concludes unfinished business. Under new business, we have several items. The first is a quote opening for a drainage project on Redford Drive, almost to Biloxi. So we instructed Westler Engineering to put out some quotes for it. We had one quote returned, and at this time, we will open that quote. Andy?
And this is from JKES Incorporated, doing business as Smith Projects. And their quote is for $76,142.
Emily, could you approach and take it back with you and review it and give us a recommendation? All right. Thank you so much. For the next order of business is the Arlington Roundabout land purchase. Our consulting agency, GAI, is having identified 6 parcels of property around the intersection of Arlington and Churchman that the city will need to purchase as part of the roundabout project. And these properties are listed as following: the Buchanan Brothers, which is Bomar, and they have identified a parcel that was appraised at $3,125. The second property was Illinois Limited Liability Company, 6057 Churchman Avenue. A parcel was identified appraised at $7,300. The third property was ICI Property LLC. Not sure of the location, but the appraised property that would need to be purchased was $24,255. The fourth property is JC2 Enterprises LLC, and the appraised value of that parcel was $12,305. The fifth parcel was Kinetrix Energy. The parcels needed for that property was appraised at $18,530. And the last and the sixth and final parcel that needed to be purchased is owned by ABSI Investments, and the appraised value of that property was $2,625, for a total of $68,140. This is part of the Arlington Roundabout project. They budgeted $70,000 for that. It's in the budget for this year. So the next step is for the board to approve it. and return it back to the appraiser so that they can start the process of purchasing these parcels. So I'll open the floor up to any questions or comments.
Mayor, you said we budgeted this for 70,000, so this is already, okay.
It's already, it's part of a larger budget number in the budget for this year, but it's there.
Yeah, the money is budgeted for it up to $70,000. My question would be to Craig as far as if one of these partials did not want to go along with the appraised value, would that leave the city eminent domain
We'd have to go
rights?
down that path. I don't anticipate that happening, but
Okay.
that's there would be a protracted legal process.
Which would slow the whole
Correct.
process
It
down.
would. But I don't think we anticipate that.
Good.
I have not, for the board's information, I have not spoken with every one of these businesses, but I've spoken to at least 4 of them, and they're all very supportive of this project and feel it's needed, so I don't foresee an issue with it. So, Dave, any thoughts?
No, I think it's great.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the statement of the basis for just compensation for these 6 parcels that I read aloud.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the same sign. I vote aye as well. Thank you. Just for the public's information, this project, this is an NDOT project, and they will put it out for bid July the 10th of next year. And it's slated to be under construction by this time next year. So, good for the city. Requesting approval for hiring compliance. Dear Board, earlier this year, the Board approved a request to rehire Dave Carlson as a fire inspector. David has not been able to adjust his schedule to meet our needs, so we need to move on. I'm going to move Mark Rim over into the fire/building and permit inspector position, no change in pay, and by doing that, it creates an open compliance officer position. This time, I would recommend to the board that we hire Kathy Chappell as a compliance officer. Kathy has met all of the conditions for part-time employment, including drug screening. Should the Board of Public Works and Safety approve this recommendation, Kathy will begin her employment on October the 2nd. Kathy would become a part-time employee with an hourly wage not to exceed $15 per hour and could not work more than 20 hours per week or 58 hours in a bi-weekly period. Floor is open for any questions or comments.
Should remain on the RDC.
Yes. Yeah. Questions or comments? Dave?
I've none.
Okay. If not, I'll ask for motion to hire Kathy Chappell for compliance.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Next is request for approval for hiring DPW. Brad?
Good evening, Mayor and Board. It's my recommendation to the Board of Works that the city hire Dale Ellis as a part-time worker at the Department of Public Works. This position will pay $14.79 per hour and will not exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay. There is money in the sewage works budget to fund this position. If approved, Mr. Ellis would start on Tuesday, October 2nd, and he would be filling the position that was vacated by Bruce Giffen when he went full-time.
Questions from board members?
None.
No.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the director's request to hire Dale Ellis.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. Request approval for hiring additional position DPW. Brad?
Again, it is my recommendation to the Board of Works that the city hire an additional part-time worker at the Department of Public Works. The position will pay $14.79 per hour, will not exceed 58 hours per biweekly pay. This will bring the total number of part-time workers at DPW to 3. There is money in the sewage works and MVH budgets to fund this additional position. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns We have enough in each budget combined to fund a third person. This was originally sort of created as a way to potentially bring on Tom Wilson when he retired as a part-time mechanic. We were blessed to have Matt Maurice come on and has done a really nice job. So I kind of sat on it for a little bit to see if that was going to be needed. Tom has moved out of state, so I don't see that happening. And at this point, it would be well-served to have an additional person.
Comments or questions from board members?
I have none.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the director's request to hire an additional part-time person.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next order of business is a 5K run/walk for Franciscan Alliance Services. Dana, could you read that into the record, please?
Dear Beech Grove Board of Public Works and Safety, Beech Grove has been home to Franciscan Alliance Information Services since its inception in 1968. As part of the Franciscan Alliance Information Services 50th anniversary celebration, we are seeking permission to host a 5K run-walk event in the city of Beech Grove. We are partnering with Corey Wynn, band director of Beech Grove High School, as the beneficiary of the proceeds of the event. Our goal is to raise enough funds to procure a technology purchase that will enable the development of future band students. We are seeking support services and permission to host the event, which is tentatively planned to take place on November 10, 2018 at 10 a.m. Attached, you will find a map of the proposed route plan for the event, along with proposed staging and water stops. Franciscan Alliance is seeking insurance for the event and will reference the city of Beech Grove as the additional insured. Proof of insurance will be provided prior to the event. Sincerely, Karen Smithers.
Thank you, Dan. I had copied the sheet that had the course on it and give it to the Public Works Director, Fire Chief, and Police Chief for their comments. So, Chief, or either Chief or Brad, do you have any comment on this?
We will work with them for whatever they need and what we can work with.
So I'll open it up for comments. Dave, any thoughts?
No, I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the request from Franciscan Alliance Information Services to hold a 5K run in the city of Beech Grove on November the 10th, 2018.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Next up, a master vendor's license for Rui Spa, which is located on South Emerson Avenue at Grovewood. Chief, you have any comment on this?
Everybody that was on the application and addresses were checked, and I found no reason to disapprove of it.
Okay. And Mark, did you guys go down there?
Yes, I was down there, I'll go back, this week also. I went down and checked it out real quick,
Everything seemed in order?
everything looks good.
Okay. Floor is open for any questions. This is a master vendor's license for massage therapy clinic. And those are now required to be licensed in the city of Beech Grove.
I'll make said motion to approve it.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye as well, and the motion carries. That concludes everything on the list, but we have three more items that we need to go through this evening that are not on the agenda board. The first item is a request for sick day buyback for a employee who recently resigned from the city. And what I'll do is I'll ask the clerk to read the request into the record.
Dear members of the Board of Works, I recently resigned from the city after working there since January 2013. Since then, I worked full-time. I did not take a lot of sick time. I was off for a week when my grandson died. 2 of those days were sick days. I have taken off the anniversary of his death and his birthday. I was off sick 1 week with pneumonia. I took off a few days when my husband had back surgery. I don't feel like I abused my sick time. I resigned to spend more time with my husband, who has some health issues. I thought I would be paid for the sick time that I did not use. I have 21 plus days accumulated and would appreciate any consideration in being paid for these days. Thank you in advance for your time and consideration on this matter. Sincerely, Debbie Springs.
And Debbie's here tonight. Debbie, you have anything you want to say?
I did not know I would not get that. I feel like I did not abuse the time. I spent many days in that office by myself. And, I mean, if I didn't feel well, I still came to work. I just feel like you're penalizing people for working.
When I got this today, I told the clerk that what I would do, would have Dan read it into the record, and then I would turn it over for advisement from our city legal, have him review the city manual on what that states, and then make a decision and return to the board. So with that, I think that's the best way to handle it. I think I know what the city policy is on that, but I don't want to make the wrong decision. So Debbie, if you can give us a couple of days, we'll get back with you. Okay?
I'd like to make a comment on that since she was an employee in my office. And I only have 2 full-time employees in my office. Between the 2 of them, they would have 3 months worth of sick days, vacation days, personal days, things like that. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't get by if every one of them took all the time that was afforded to them. So she was a good worker, and I think she's right. It encourages people to call in sick when they could actually be working.
Any other comments from board members?
I'd also like to know, what have I'm sure this isn't the first time this has come up, so what have we done in the past with other people who have retired? Did we pay them their sick days as well?
If they retired, we paid them half of their sick days that they earned. Nobody gets all of their sick days. But if they retired, they were entitled to half of their sick days. But I would defer to legal and let him go through this, and we'll get back with you.
And Sandy, to follow up on your question, I know on one particular position, we rescinded a resignation. The person came back until they used all their sick days. So that's just an abuse of
Right.
the way it works. And so that was not the case here. She trained someone the entire time. She could have came in and said, you know, next week's my last week.
Yeah.
And she didn't do that, so.
Okay.
All right. Craig, can you take a look at it and then get back with us? All right. Also this evening, not on the agenda, is a request from the Eagles for a road closure. And this came in this afternoon a little bit before 4 o'clock. So we advised them we'd go ahead and put it on the agenda this evening. So Dan, if you could read that into the record, please.
Dear Board of Public Works and Safety, the Beech Grove Eagles is partnering with D's Taps and requesting permission to close Main Street from 7th Avenue to 8th Avenues on October 13th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a field event. We will open Main Street earlier if our event gets over earlier. If you have any questions, please let me know. Respectfully, Denise Bell.
I think the city's been really good to the Eagles, and we honor their requests all the time, and we should do this, but they need to be a little bit more responsive and a little earlier with their requests, other than 4 o'clock on the day of the meeting. So, I mean, they raise a lot of money for a lot of charities, but, and I'll talk to them about it. If you remember right, the last time we did this, we weren't even gonna meet, and I had to call you for approval, so, I'll open the floor up for any comments or questions.
I have none.
Dave, anything?
What is it they do that they always have to have the street closed?
A lot of it is motorcycle rides. But tonight, Dan asked me what a field event is, and I have no clue.
Nor do I.
I have no clue what this is.
I mean, with any of their other requests, we've never had any issues with them, their fundraising events and, right?
No. They've done fundraisers, they've done all kinds of stuff for people.
Oh, there's a lit on their field events, it says what they're doing.
Ride the rail, I'm not,
Yeah.
yeah, an assortment of other things. I'm not gonna publicly
Cornhole,
state that.
things like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Cornhole, chili cook-off, taco bar.
How about motion to approve?
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. The last item that's not on the agenda is a handicap parking permit for Devlin Arnold at 309 North Sixth Avenue. She has all of her paperwork, came in today, and we told her we would get it on the docket tonight for her. And Angie can call her tomorrow. All of the paperwork's there. Any reason not to do it, Dan?
No, I think everything's here. The only thing I'm not sure, and this is probably just with Angie being new, I don't know if this is a renewal or a new,
This is a brand-new one,
okay, all right.
so. Questions or comments?
I have none.
I have none.
Ask for a motion to approve the parking permit for Devlin Arnold, 309 North Sixth.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. That concludes the Board of Works meeting this evening. Comments from board members?
I have none.
I have nothing.
Not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
The meeting is adjourned at 6.
What is it? That's for Okra.
We'll go ahead and start the meeting. Good evening, everyone. We'll call to order the Common Council meeting for Monday, October the 1st, 2018. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my left.
Buddy Templin, Councilman at Large.
Dave Harrison, Councilman, District 5.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Vito Mascari, Council District 2.
Elizabeth Lamping, Council District 1.
Chris Duffer, District 3.
Kevin Day, District 4.
Jim Brooks has a excused absence this evening. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Council. Special presentations this evening. First up is a proclamation to commemorate Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. This time I'll ask Joni Cutshall from Franciscan Health to come forward. And I'd like to read this into the record. Whereas the month of October marks the occasion of National SIDS, Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, observances across the United States focused on generating public understanding, compassion for bereaved families, and support for medical research. Whereas each year approximately 1 million pregnancies in the United States end in miscarriage, stillbirth, or the death of a newborn baby. Whereas each year more than 26,000 families experience the stillbirth of a precious baby. Whereas even the shortest lives are still valuable, and the grief of those who mourn the loss of these lives should not be trivialized. Whereas State Health Commissioner Dr. Jerome Adams has voiced concern about Indiana's infant mortality rate, where on average 7 Hoosier babies for every 1,000 births will not live to see their first birthday. And whereas the observance of SIDS Pregnancy and Infant Loss Month may provide validation to those who have lost a baby through miscarriage, stillbirth, SIDS, or other postnatal death. Whereas recognizing SIDS Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month will provide the citizens of Beech Grove with an opportunity to increase their understanding of the great tragedy involved in the deaths of unborn and newborn babies. Now therefore I, Dennis B. Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, do hereby proclaim the month of October Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month in the City of Beech Grove. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Beech Grove, Indiana, to be affixed this first day of October 2018. And here to present it to Joni Cutchall. Joni?
Thank you.
Their annual Walk to Remember is Saturday, October the 13th at 11 a.m. It begins at Central Elementary and walks to the park. They have their ceremony, and then they return to Central. It's a beautiful experience that my wife and I take part in each year, and we're so happy to do that.
I just want to say thank you to Beech Grove, Mayor Buckley, and Patty. Thank you for supporting us council members for 33 years. This is our 33rd time that we've done it here in Beech Grove. So on the behalf of Franciscan Health, thank you very much for your support and a place to do this for a lot of families around the Indianapolis and Beech Grove area.
Thank you. Weeks, all right. Next up is a report from our youth council, our principal, Liz Walters. Liz?
Good evening. It seems at the end of the 9 weeks, my students are sparse and otherwise engaged, but they are working on grades, so that's a good thing. I'll start shortly after we met last. A huge thanks to the Fall Festival organizers that allowed our students to participate with their floats in the Fall Festival due to the weather and our homecoming delays. Our seniors took second, so we'll probably make this a tradition because they were very excited. On BGSN, they shared that was better than our own homecoming parade. So what that will look like next year will kind of be determined, I think, by the students. October is College Go month, so we take a look at a lot of our career and college planning. We hosted the Opportunities Fair on the 24th. All of our students took part in that in our gymnasium, so thanks to all who showed up for that. Our ACT we had planned to do this week, but due to a nationwide security breach, we have postponed that, so we'll look forward to that for our seniors when we get back. But we will have our Skills Day, our Employability and Community Service Day, this Wednesday. So students will be out and about visiting community areas, skills based on employability interest, and then college interest as well. We did receive our federal and state letter grades. Those are embargoed at this point, but Beech Grove is very excited to share some good news on that front when those are released to the public. In terms of kind of our student athletics, Marching Hornets and Choir, we celebrated Isaiah Doss, who's a senior this year. He was selected into the All-State Choir for the second time. Our Marching Hornets are starting very strong, taking first and second in their last competitions these last 3 weeks. And then athletics, we are in senior night and sectional sort of time right now in our fall sports. So we will look to celebrate our seniors, hope that they all do well in sectionals, and are excited to see how those all turn out. That's our update. I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has anything for us.
So just to let everyone know, right now, the record for the football team?
Yes, I believe we are 5-1.
Okay, yeah.
6-1?
Or
6-1,
6-1?
6-1.
Okay.
Yep, doing very well. Had 2 big wins the past 2 weeks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. This time, we will suspend our council meeting and go into a public hearing concerning the Okra Planning Grant. And at this time, I'll call to the podium Mike Kleinpeter from Kleinpeter Consulting to walk us through this. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. My name is Mike Kleinpeter, and I'm with Kleinpeter Consulting Group, and I'm an OCRA certified grant administrator. The purpose of the hearing tonight is to discuss the city's application for grant funding through the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs. We will be applying for a grant in the amount of $600,000. We will be providing a local match of $150,000. That local match will consist of $5,000 from the city's general fund and $145,000 from the local business owners. Our proposal is due this Friday, October 5th. We have an application due November 30th. We want to make sure citizens of the city are informed and have the opportunity to voice concern or support for the project. At the last council meeting, I talked about that environmental review that needed to be done. We got that sent off on September 17th. So in 30 days from that, we should have a response from SHPO. The other 7 agencies were sent packets as well, so everything's on track there. So with that, funds available for Okra grants are competitive. This is a competitive process. Award announcements will be on January 17th. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Pat to tell you about the 12 buildings and what will happen exactly.
Good evening. My name is Pat Jacobs with Architecture Trio. Our firm worked with your city on the downtown revitalization plan where this all began to bubble up. I wanted to share with you tonight that there was a good extent of interest from your building owners originally in the downtown revitalization plan. We had almost 20 building owners express an interest in participating in this program. Through various processes and review, that list ended up down to 12, and we had 12 building owners where we proceeded, identified scope of work for each of the buildings, developed some base drawings, some schematic drawings that would be utilized as part of this program. We did field investigation, met with building owners to identify what kind of work that they wanted to have done and what their budgets might be. We have gone through that initial process through the downtown revitalization plan. We're going to be meeting with building owners. We're anticipating around the 11th, 12th next week to review each of their scopes of work and the budgets we've established for them to see if there's anything additional that we need to be addressing or possibly paring back a little bit. We should have all those costs developed by the end of this week. I will be sending drawings out to them again and providing them with those initial cost estimates. The kind of work that you're going to potentially see through this grant, masonry tuck pointing is almost across the boards on each of the buildings. A lot of storefront improvements. You've got a lot of buildings with single pane glass, and we're looking at improving storefront windows to be more energy efficient. Second floor windows, probably one of the biggest projects where we've done second floor window replacement or upgrades. Improved signage is one of the other goals, and lighting, which are 2 things that were identified in the downtown revitalization plan, is trying to make improvements on the streetscape, in particular with updated signage and more lights that provided illumination of your streetscape in the evenings. Other items would include awnings and painting and general maintenance and repairs. I'm available if you have additional questions on the scope of work that we're proposing or any of the process. I'd be happy to answer. I have a question for Mr. Kleinpeter. So you've worked in other cities and municipalities for these grants. Can you kind of just reflect back and give me an idea of other cities and towns? Have the council or the local government helped in offsetting some of these, what the business owners need as far as their matching part of it?
through RDC or through the city?
Sure, the city of Greenfield, I helped them last year with a facade project, and they were awarded. They're, off the top of my head, their council put in $50,000 or $60,000. I don't have that number with me right now, but they put in some amount of money to kind of cover some of the administration and some of the architectural fees. So that way it would help bring the business owner's percentage down. I think right now we're looking at about 25% of the cost for each business owner. So that was what they chose to pursue. They also had some philanthropic match, but you know, we can do whatever you guys would like to do.
And is that something that we would entertain, you know, at the council, or we'll?
Yeah, so the proposal that's due this Friday, I've got to put what I advertised in the paper, but the council will ultimately pass a resolution. So what'll happen is the business owners will need to submit, I've talked with Dan and the mayor on this, we sat down and had a meeting. The business owners, Jim is collecting the local match from them with checks, and then they're gonna submit all the checks to Dan on November 1st. At that point, Dan will deposit them into the city's MSRP account. We've got a 30-day window to make sure everything clears, everything's good, and then the city is the lead applicant, so the city signs off saying they have $150,000. So that's kind of the way the process is set up right now. Anything I'm missing, Jim or Dan?
Okay. So there's an opportunity for us to help with this. Yeah.
You guys, yes, whatever you choose, you can. I don't, you know, right now, I think been talking with Jim. We're looking at a 25% match for business owners to cover the cost. But council or individuals or nonprofits or RDC or anybody's welcome to put money into this project. You do score points based on your match. The minimum match is 20%.
Thank you for that information.
That concludes their presentation. I'll defer to legal counsel for those who signed up to speak.
Yeah, so Mike's already spoken. Pat, how about Brad Merriweather? Brad? There he is. All right.
I just signed the hearing notice not to speak.
Okay. All right. Jim Kaufman?
Good evening, council. Jim Kaufman, my family owns Exide Shoe Store, 620 Main Street. I am the current treasurer of Next Stop Beech Grove. As mentioned last month, this organization started off about 2 years ago to kind of be a voice for the Main Street businesses, to kind of get together. We can organize events, we can do fundraisers, we can just kind of have a voice for our Main Street and for our business owners. I think this grant is a great opportunity for the business owners and for the city of Beech Grove. Our Main Street is very old. We have businesses from the very early 1900s up to the 50s, 60s. So there's a wide range of buildings on our Main Street. And in the 12, several of those span from the early, like I said, early 1900s to mid-century buildings. The other cities have done this, Greenwood, Greenfield, we're not reinventing the wheel at all. So they've all seen the benefit of that. And if you drive through those cities, I think you'll see kind of a newness to the downtown. Businesses are moving in, businesses are staying. People are coming here to support those main streets and those businesses. So I appreciate your guys' support of this application and this grant and just supporting local business. So we appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
No others?
Jim's the only one who signed up
Mm-hmm. You want to sign it?
for the Okra grant.
The Okra, yeah.
Oh,
Okra.
no, no, okay. I didn't know you had different sign-ups.
That,
I'm not sure.
that concludes the Okra grant sign up, Craig?
Yes.
Okay. Mike, anything else?
Legal counsel asked me to mention that tonight there was a 4-factor analysis, which is something Okra requires in our proposal. Since we have over 1,000 people in the county that speak Spanish, we're required to put part of our ad in Spanish, so we did that. So the mayor will be signing that tonight. I guess with approval, and then also a submittal of authorization to submit the proposal. Those are two documents that the mayor will be signing. And please make sure you sign the sign-in sheet, because Oker wants to see how many people were in attendance, so please, there's one up front, and there's also gonna be one in the back. Please make sure to sign that. That's it.
All right. Thank you. That concludes the public hearing, and we'll revert back to the normal agenda for the council. Council, you have two sets of minutes. First set is September the 4th, 2018. Floor is open for any questions, comments, or correction for those sets of minutes.
I have a comment and a request that I'd like to see if we can make a correction on the public comments for the Okra grant. I just think it would be nice, instead of Napoli Villa owner, we could actually make the speaker's name, and then on the second page, Brenda, Cliff, Jeff. I mean, I just think it would be nice if we had first and last names on that. And I don't, I'm sure that they gave their name on their introduction, so I didn't know if we could make that correction to make sure that we had the full person's name representing their comments. If I could make an emotion to include that, that's what I need to do.
Do we need a motion or to do that? Okay. I agree with Liz.
I don't know who
If we could do that.
I don't have a sign-up sheet for him, who it was that spoke.
What's the one, Liz?
Well, it's Napoli Villa owner, and then on the second page, it says Brenda spoke, Cliff, and, I don't know, I just think it would.
Do you know who
Proper.
Brenda is?
No, I just figured that when they signed in.
Brenda what? H-E-I-L?
K.
Oh,
Hey, why, Ellie? Okay, how about Cliff? Apologize. How you spell that? And Jeff? M- Okay.
There's a motion, Liz.
do you have to have a motion for
No,
amendment?
we'll just do a motion for the minutes to include those. Any other questions, comments, or corrections? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes dated September the 4th, 2018, with the corrections.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. The second set of minutes, council, was dated September the 10th, 2018. Floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections. No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes dated September the 10th as presented.
I'll make said motion. I'll second the motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move to public comments for the regular agenda. Counselor?
Yep. Tom Sparks? Tom, can you state your address, please?
My name's Tom Sparks. I live at 346 North 18th and,
3 minutes.
huh?
You have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm hoping that you give me a little bit more time, but basically, a lot of you know me maybe from baseball. I paid out of my own pocket 3 times to do the field. A lot of the sewer, the police officers, we got awesome police officers, awesome firemen, awesome parks department guys. I paid for probably 15 to 20 years while we had the meat market. Every year I would have a meat market thing and take it down to the buildings and let them eat. I'm here today for some pretty crazy stuff, but I had some other stuff to say. 3 minutes, like I said, won't be enough. What I'm here for today is over a sump pump situation. I've been cited. I was cited with this little blue paper first from the sewer department. And it was over using a black pipe like this. Now, I don't know what's wrong with it, but supposedly it's not code. I've lived there 20 years. My sump pump don't have a pit. When Beech Grove floods, it comes up through my sewer, so most of the time the pump ain't working anyways. The next thing that happened is I drove around, after I seen that, I drove around the neighborhood to see what everybody else had. Well, a lot of them had this little pipe like this. They tell me you need this pipe right here. I don't have a problem with that. Matter of fact, I changed it just for the thing. But where it got to be a joke on this is I went and took these pictures in my car, not on anybody's property, went everywhere. And it was a little embarrassing. The next day, an officer showed up at the house, wanting to know why I was taking pictures. Well, I only showed these pictures to a couple of places. One of the pictures I took was the mayor's house because he had this kind of pipe. Now, he said he's got a pool, so regardless, that means he's dumping water with the pool. So my setup was just like theirs. Now, I've lived there all this time, had that same stupid sump pump. It only gets used when it pours down and rains. So it's pretty shameful that the mayor would politicize and weaponize the police department. The police officer said he was sorry that he had to come to the house, but he had to come to the house. I don't know why anybody would sick somebody. And I noticed this is the first time I've ever been here since I've lived here. So I've had different problems with different neighbors. I'd wrote them down today, and there's no way I could take it. But the other day, I got a little white one. Now I'm a public nuisance. That's a little hard to believe. The house in front of me, it's been empty 2 years. Grass been cut one time. It don't have electricity, so it's got a basement, and it's been flooded. You can physically smell it. But I guess it's not a nuisance. It should have been tore down, in my opinion. There's other problems on the street that I wrote down. Out of all the years, like I said, I've lived here over 20 years. We've never had nothing done to our street. We've never had, my curbs are falling off. We're one of the few blocks that don't have sidewalks. Our kids walk in the middle of the street in the morning and almost get hit by cars. The guy at the corner, he put up these little stakes to make the kids stand out in the street so the bus can run over them. Nothing's done. The mayor's been aware of this. I told him about it. And by golly, I voted for this mayor. So I'm real shameful that I voted for him after this, because I can't believe that you'd send a cop to my house just to ask me what I was taking pictures of, when these guys got hard duty out there. And I love this town. I did a lot for this town, but I changed this stuff. But nobody told me a year ago you guys changed some little ordinance that you got to have this little pipe. You know, this little pipe costs $100. This little pipe probably costs $350. I don't know what the difference is. You can't bend it, can't do nothing. But the neighbor that called, he has a potbelly pig. I never said nothing because I really don't care. You know, I do now. And he has a car that parks there. He hasn't cut the grass at 352 North 18th the whole time. I mean, police officers shouldn't have to come to our neighborhood to ask why you're taking pictures of stuff like this. I only took pictures so I could figure out what they were really wanting. And when I showed the mayor the next day, now I only showed the picture to 3 people in his office, so if it wasn't him, it was the other 2 people in the office that sent him, because nobody knew that.
Thank you, sir.
So, but it's a shame that you'd weaponize the police department to come see you. Now, I changed this, and like I said, the other day when they give me this public nuisance, I've had that.
Wrap it up, please.
I've had that sump pump, sir.
I'd like to
I've
make
had
a
that sump
motion
pump
to allow
on-
Mr. Sparks to finish his talk.
I've had that sump pump sitting on my porch ever since the last rain. It's still sitting on there. This guy that come from the compliance, which is out of the mayor's office, damn near ran out of the yard, my wife said. She thought somebody was looking in the window. And so she didn't catch him until I got the letter.
Let's vote on it.
Let's vote on it.
Can you hold on 1 second, please?
I've made a motion to allow Mr. Sparks to finish his talk.
I'll second.
Yes?
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 Yes.
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 Yes. 6-0.
Thank you, guys. You know, like I said, I've never been here. I never really had a reason. Not one thing. I've not had one upgrade to my street. I live in Old Beech Grove. I live there. I don't get nothing done. You know, when the mayor first started, he did do me a favor. a house that I mistakenly shouldn't have sold was next door to me, which is the problem here. I didn't sell it to him, but I sold it to another guy that was a drug dealer. The mayor helped me on that situation with the police department. Unfortunately, it involved them all go there. It cost me $8,000 to get the guy out, but I got him out. But this guy here, I don't know what the deal is. 4 years ago, I adopted 2 kids. So now I'm here to stay in Beech Grove. So, but when I read this, I could have called the news. That is the most stupidest thing. I keep seeing the news in Beech Grove for stupid stuff. I seen a SWAT thing the other day. I am embarrassed that this stuff keeps happening in Beech Grove when a lot of this stuff can be handled without politicalizing this stuff. I mean, you know, I've been a good neighbor, and I attend to being a good neighbor, but when they come and tell me that I'm a nuisance, when all this other stuff, and I had a piece of paper to read, and I won't read it because I don't want to take you guys' time, of 4 other houses on the street that's had these problems, that has been rode up and different things. I mean, you know, on the other side of me, I got a guy that's selling dogs, a puppy mill, and Mr. Busby's brought that up before, and but I mean, this is just crazy. Why you want to harass a guy that's been here, help the community, when you could have just come up and told me what was there. Now, I went down the other day to the other place because first I thought the guy that wrote the blue one. Now, the only thing that was the one that did the compliance thing, but he wasn't. He turned over to compliance. Only thing it says on here that I used this is the only thing out of compliance was this black pipe. That's all it says. Now, the other one says I'm a nuisance, I'm pouring into the other guys. Well, he couldn't see the water going in the guy's yard because it ain't even hooked up. The nice guy at the Parks Department that used to be at the sewer maintenance, Tom, he actually has all but this little piece of black pipe. After the guy ran out of the yard, I tried to find the compliance guy to say, hey, this ain't even hooked up, because I knew what they were doing when they were looking around, and because I knew what that guy next door was, the trouble he was trying to cause. But I couldn't find him. I found Tom. Tom put it in his truck. Any of you guys want to ask him, he can tell you that it couldn't be pumped in the guy's yard because he had this pipe in the back of his truck, besides the sump pump sitting on my porch. I don't have a pit. Unless it rains like crazy, it don't happen. The over 20 years I've been here, they put gravel in the easement back there. I don't have an alley. I'm the last garage on the alley. One time. We've not got nothing done. I ain't begging to get nothing done. I would like to see safety for the sidewalks to have them on that block for the kids' sake. But when you go having police officers come to my house and then saying they're sorry because that they're there because they were sent there to weaponize them, that's unfortunate. And like I said, I voted for this, Mayor. And I want to thank all you guys for your time. And this is just ridiculous. It has been changed to this white pipe, but the sump pump's still sitting on the front porch because it ain't rain. When it rains, you'll see sump pump missing. So, I mean, you know, the guy couldn't write me up that I'm a nuisance, that I'm putting in the guy's yard when the guy, Tom, from the Parks Department's got my stuff in his truck. And I'm sure he won't lie about that. I've been friends with that guy ever since I've been here, you know, and he didn't look. He couldn't see water going in the guy's yard. But I will say the original complaint, probably why the water got in the guy's yard, well, I got an $800 water bill. Unfortunately, I adopted 2 kids. They did leave it on, and I didn't catch it. So, yeah, he probably had a swimming pool in his yard at one time or another, but I didn't get a chance to explain it. But when they come back out, that didn't happen. But again, I want to thank all you guys. I want to thank you guys for, you know, letting me talk, because, I mean, this is just ridiculous. Like I said, I've never been here. Never really had a reason, because I don't get no updates on my street. When it says vote for raising something for the schools, you know what? Even before I adopted these kids, it's been 10 years since my older kids, I still vote for it to happen because I'm a citizen of this. And to this day, I still take water to the high school baseball team for them to play. You know, I mean, we've been great citizens. My wife owned 4 daycares until we adopted these kids in Beech Grove, licensed daycare. So, I mean, most people know it's ABC's Maze Daycare. They only know me from sports because they just see me. I'm just the guy that donates and kind of hides behind the scenes, or the guy that takes and feeds the sewer department. To this day, I'd still be feeding you, but they want like $500 to get a meat tray from any place else but meat market, but it's gone, so I ain't gonna pay $5. I could eat $2.50 a year.
I don't want to interrupt you, but
again, thanks all you
yes,
guys.
just a quick question. Did you have to pay any money out? It was like a citation.
They have not charged me. They say they're going to come back in 10 days.
But you've got the problem fixed, correct?
Well,
You changed the
it's
pipes
got one
out.
pipe that I didn't do because I thought the meeting was on Tuesday because I was hoping to have the pipe. But if they go by, the pump's still there. Tom's still got the regular pipe, but this pipe has
But
been
you know
put there.
what to do to get it in compliance, correct?
Ma'am, it's really still not gonna be in compliance. I drove down every alley, 90% of them had this thing.
Okay, but the question,
So-
but you had.
Mine is in compliance, what they call compliance.
Okay.
But there's no way to really get it. My yard slants like that, so.
But there
so-
was water, when it was running, the water was going into someone else's, is that what, was that the issue? Or
Only thing I think that really happened was my kids left the water hose on one time
Okay.
really, really good, because it's $800.
Oh dear. Uh-huh.
So I mean, you know, I guess I'm a bad dad, I didn't catch the water hose on, but like I said,
accidents
he's got a pig, and I didn't say nothing about pig, but I'm mad about the pig now.
Thank you.
Does anybody here confirm that he's really been cited as a public nuisance, or like, is that?
The only guy there was a guy, right there was over there when I was talking to the guy that kind of got loud and mouthy that wrote the blue one, because I thought he wrote it originally.
Were you talking a public nuisance on a compliance level or a public nuisance on?
No, it's on the compliance level now. This guy transferred it over to
I'm just
compliance.
confirming this actually is the case, or is it just?
They have not been back. It's not been 10 days, if that's what you're asking.
So you got the warning letter?
Yeah, I got the warning, but it was bad enough when it said public nuisance.
You haven't been fined, right?
No.
Okay.
But
I mean, I would agree with you that it seems pretty trivial that we're talking about a black plastic pipe versus.
Well, I can show you. You can't get this one.
I mean,
And
it seems that there's a lot of situations that compliance could be dealing with that are a little bit bigger than a pipe. But if your neighbor's yard is flooded,
well,
if I was your neighbor, I wouldn't be happy.
Well, the funny, and like I said, it wasn't going in his yard anyways. But what a lot of people don't know is I own that property, and 4 foot of that guy's yard, and he don't even know it, is really my yard. I
I
built
know
the
that,
fence
but
to sell the house.
What I'm saying is, I mean,
So,
your neighbor has a right to be upset and concerned about his yard getting flooded because even if it was your children left the water on, I mean, they do have a right. But if they really sent the police over there because you were taking pictures,
the mayor did, sir.
I mean, I confirm
There was
or not.
3 people in
whether
that
or not
office.
that
It wasn't
happened.
his, it was 2 secretaries.
I'm just trying to talk to you. That's an issue. I mean, if you're taking pictures from the street, you're taking pictures from the alley. I mean, compliance does it all the time. So why is the mayor sending police officers to, combat that? That seems pretty.
The only funny part I got is the guy that come out and made the white compliance letter that called me a nuisance that I had 10 days. He couldn't have took a picture because nothing was hooked up to the sump pump. If he'd knocked on the door, he'd have noticed that the sump pump's right there in clear view. And like I said, I had Tom from the Parks Department, and he's got the pipes. So.
Well, I do
Anyways, I don't want to
appreciate
take
the
you guys' time. This is why I'm here. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for letting me be talking. And like I said, I'm just ashamed of the mayor. As far as I'm concerned, it's fixed. But I don't want this guy weaponizing people. I did vote for him. And this, it won't happen twice.
We'll call the water company and see if you can get that one-time adjustment for, I know.
I'm not worried about it. My
Well,
kids
if
did it.
it's an $800 water bill.
I'm responsible for what my kids
They
did.
may help you. Call the water company, explain it to them. They probably will give you a
If they
one-time
break
adjustment.
a window, I'm gonna pay to fix it. That's how I've lived all the time I've been here. But thanks a lot. And I believe it was your husband. My youngest one that's still pursuing baseball, used to play the Yankees all the time.
Thank
Mrs.
you,
Lampe.
sir.
Thank you. We got a really long meeting tonight, so I appreciate your comments.
Mr. Busby. You state your address, sir?
Yeah, well, depends on who you ask. Richard Busby, 321 North 18th. I live right up the street from Tom.
3 minutes.
Oh, yes, sir. I figured that. Anyway, I live at 321. I'm here about the permits for the renters. Actually, my son owns 3 houses in Beech Grove. I rent from him. I used to live on Churchman. I had the tropical plants, the waterfalls. I'm very meticulous about the way my yard looks. I rent. I'm a renter. Now, the 317 that I was accused of living at was not my house, but I wrote the letter to the mayor and the health department. It was my neighbor, and it's still a problem there. There's green stuff floating in their swimming pool, buckets of water all over. I'm afraid somebody's going to get stung by a mosquito. It's just not right. I've mentioned it to him. My yard, I'll invite anybody over to see my yard. The neighbors come over and ask how I keep it so beautiful. That's the way I like it. And I think if you come by 321 North 18th, I'll invite you in the house.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you've been there before.
I wasn't invited in.
Well, I was out working on my Lincoln, my 79 Lincoln, my Pitmobile. But anyway,
To leave.
I have a problem with that permit. Number one, my son owns 3 properties. Every one of those properties are meticulously kept. They're not a nuisance. I mentioned last week, or the last meeting, that the renters and the homeowners have the same issue. It's not just renters in this city. The homeowners need to be in compliance. That's where the issue should be taken up with, not permits. A permit is not going to resolve a renter that wants to live like trash or a homeowner that wants to live like trash. It has to be the person. Now, if that person rents to a trash person, that's his problem. Compliance man comes and takes care of the problem. You know, I'll probably get a visit from him now, but, you know, that's the way this city works. Anyway, that's my problem. I don't like it. My son don't like it. You know, he was going to be here tonight, but I told him it was on Tuesday. I thought it was Tuesday. But anyway, I did have another question, and I agree 100%. I've been here before about the sidewalks on 18th Street. I've talked to the police chief one time about people barreling through there. We have kids coming in the dark, walking up the street, in the middle of the street, because usually when it rains, our yards are flooded. And the kids walk in the middle because the streets go like this. Somebody's going to get hit. I brought this up before, and all I was told is we don't have the money. And it's, Mrs. Lamping, this is your district.
Yes, it is.
You know 18th Street.
I do indeed.
And you go from Cleveland to Southern, there is no stop signs, there is nothing. And they barrel through there. Most of them don't stop for the stoplights or stop signs. I'm afraid those kids are going to get hurt. I go down every day and pick up my granddaughter. And when I can't be there, May takes her home to make sure they get home safe. Tom's wife. That's how we work in that neighborhood. We get along good in that neighborhood, but we're not satisfied with no sidewalks. Every time it rains, it floods. My daughter can't get to her car. My backyard, I got a big backyard. It floods all the way up to the house. The neighbors have 5 sub pumps going, and they can't keep it out fast enough. Half the time you can see a dryer or something sitting out in the alley. One last thing, and I'm gonna be done real quick. This Ochre thing. I just had one question. How much has we spent as a council allowed so far for this project? Because the issue was brought up about, has other city council, Greenfield, whatever, chipped in money? I want to know how much we've spent so far, and if this is going to be a motion, it should have been brought up from the very beginning so that the public, right now it's kind of a bad time to bring this up after the fact, when it's got to be done by Friday.
$5,000 for the environmental study.
That was it?
4,500 for planning grant, so a total.
9,500?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to know, but I do believe it should have been brought up a little sooner. I don't have a problem with it, but I do want to ask, if we fix these buildings up, they sell them, they make money, does some of it go back to the money that we loaned them out? It's just what I ask. That's all. Thank you for your time. We got a great council, by the way. And I do appreciate what you did to the man there, giving him the time to talk.
Dave Grenoble?
Good evening, council. My name's Dave Grenoble, and I live at 115 South 12th Avenue in Beech Grove, Indiana. First off, I want to tell you guys, if anybody ever tells you you don't answer emails, you don't return phone calls, tell them to call me. You know, in the last 90 days, I've emailed you guys on several things. I've gotten phone calls, I've gotten text messages, I've gotten replies from emails. I even got 2 emails from Mayor Buckley. I about fell down. I thought maybe somebody hacked his account. So, anyway, I'm going to say about the same thing with General Ordinance 13. The same thing we talked about in September. It was a great plan the way the mayor presented it the end of April about single-family residents being converted to multi-level units. Now, I'm going to give you an example right now, because I actually called the clerk and he checked. You've got a double right now at 91 South 5th. Nice house. They've also done the other side, which is now 93 South 5th. According to the assessor's office, there's no such thing as 93 South 5th because it's registered as a single-family unit. So I think you guys ought to get rid of General 13 except for 155066, paragraphs 1 through 5. Because you guys have done investigation. You know the fees are wrong. You know that we're going to open ourselves up for litigation. You guys did your own investigations based off some questions that were raised, and I'm proud of all of you that got involved with that. And the last thing, on General Ordinance 14 that's getting ready to be presented tonight, on the raise of sewer rates, until you guys know exactly what we're being charged, you shouldn't raise anything, because you don't know what to charge us. They could raise it $2 per house, they could raise it $15, and if you raise our rates $5, you don't have enough. So I know that you have to cover your expenses because they're going to charge us more money to process our sewage. But the other thing I think it's time that this council do is somebody needs to go to Citizens Energy and tell them it's time to put that big pipe in the middle of the city. And I know that the mayor sent me an email about it because we talked about it, and he said it has something to do with the exchange 1970, sir? And here's my argument with that. Since 1970, Beech Grove has added Willow Glen, South Grove Woods, Carrington Condos, an addition called Carrington, Timber Grove, Park Meadow, all the apartments on the east side of Emerson that run along Churchman Avenue, along with Churchman Woods. There's no way that the capacity that that thing held in 1970 is holding what it should now, and our pipes are paying the price. People's backing up in their basement because Phil sat right here and said that what's